Hello everyone, this is part 5 of What If Naruto Changed, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Konoha was, most of the time, blessed by warm weather which allowed the villagers to always wear light clothes and even allowed a nice time at the lakes. The villagers were having their normal routines, merchants selling their products, friends joining together for food and drinks, girls talking about boys and shopping, guys discussing about martial arts and well, girls. It was as normal as any other place, however that all was ruined by what appeared to be a little kid with a blue scarf around his neck chasing after a black cat, while causing havoc amongst town. This was the second time he was chasing the damn cat and he swore the damn animal would be skinned alive, when he caught it. His team was following from the roof with the intention of catching the cat up front, but Konohamaru reasoned that they didn't want to get their hands dirty, leaving the work all for him. Suddenly, the cat entered in a darkened alley before stopping because of the huge wall that prohibited him from escaping from his pursuer. It, then, snarled in a pathetic attempt to scare the two approaching genins away, but it was unsuccessful. The little girl with the funny hair pressed the intercom button and communicated that the target was trapped. Hearing this, Konohamaru suddenly jumped from the other side of the wall, before landing graciously on top of the trapped animal, thus capturing his prey, or so he thought. The animal fought with all his might to hurt the Sandaim's grandson in the worst way possible, but the little guy wouldn't budge. After a while, Konohamaru managed to lock Tora in with his arm, while smiling at finally being able to capture the damn feline. He was smiling like crazy, however the cat managed to free his claws and lashed them at Konohamaru's face with enough fury that caused the little guy to scream from pain. At the mission room . Seeing the cat Tora being squeezed like a toy by its owner, the genin team couldn't help but feel bad for the little animal. They, like every genin in Konoha, knew why it escaped a lot. After the feudal lord's wife left the premises, Ebisu, the team's Junin sensei, lashed out at the bad skills for taking too long to chase the cat, meaning more training for them. Mogi, though, protested. But sensei, that cat was difficult to trace, he seems pretty used to escaping. I won't hear it, this only proves that you three lack the skills to perform this mission properly, Ebisu scowled. Konohamaru, though, took an indignant sit on the ground, before protesting that he couldn't show his real skills in these lame missions, which made Yumino Iruka, who was sitting next to the Hokage, explaining that about ninja ranks and mission ranks, which was later seconded by the Hokage, who voiced that only D-ranked mission for now. Obviously, though, Konohamaru protested. I can't keep doing these lame missions, after all, I will become the Nanodaime 7th Hokage. And who will be the Rokudaime Hokage if I may ask? Asked Tsunade, clearly interested in what the little guy had to say. Who else? Naruto Naichin will be Rokudaime. Ebisu, Iruka and Tsunade were surprised to hear this, since it's been 3 years since the blonde left with Jiraiya of the Sannin. At the Hokage's office . As Tsunade, Iruka and now Shizune looked at the genin team leaving the administration building, they couldn't help but imagine the blonde. It's been 3 years since he left for real training with Jiraiya-sama, I wonder when he will be back, Iruka asked. Tsunade remained silent for a while, wondering about the blonde. Looking at Konohamaru now, she could have swore she saw the same blonde brat annoying the hell out of her, but she remembered that after the traitorous ordeal 3 years prior, she knew that the blonde was now different than the exuberant demeanor he always carried within him. She just hoped beyond hope that Naruto was able to maintain his innocence a bit longer, or else Tsunade feared that what made the blonde's personality would soon vanish. He's scheduled to be back today, I believe. We need him here, though. I feel that some drastic changes will occur soon, Tsunade said. Westgate . Leaving the forest path, 3 shadows approached the village they left behind for so long. Well, at least Naruto and Jiraiya more than Yugao did. But all of them spent quite a lot of time away from the village. Their clothes remained almost the same, with Naruto being the only one who added another piece. On top of his dark gray shirt, he was now wearing a customized black vest with the red spiral on his back, just like a Junin-style vest, but entirely black. As they entered the village, Nostalgia hit both Naruto and Yugao like wildfire, but whereas you would think Hayat's memories would bombard the woman the second she stepped into the village, instead all she thought was how much she missed her peers at the Anbu and of course, those who graduated with her at the academy. It has been 3 years. Naruto was looking around the village as both Jiraiya and Yugao looked at him with a smile on their faces. Both of them knew how much Naruto loved Konoha and its sights. The woman, though, lost her smile and looked at Jiraiya. Jiraiya-sama, now that I returned, I must present myself at Anbu headquarters, could you tell Hokage-sama this for me? The perverted only nodded, before he saw that Naruto and Yugao were crossing eyes with each other. I'll see you around, Naruto, maybe get together sometime for lunch. I'd like that very much, Yugao-chan. You can take me to that sushi place you're talking about, say tonight at 8. The woman smiled once more, before vanishing within a swirl of leaves, but the message was already delivered. Jiraiya could only smile as he saw his precious student's interaction with Yugao. Ever since these two bonded back at the waterfall place, their relationship only improved with time, up to the point of even going out 6 months ago to a village near the capital of Water Country. The pervert was still due to convincing Naruto to tell him how that night went. What the pervert didn't know and probably was dying from curiosity was that the night that they went out was the first time they hooked up with one another. The blonde would still daydream about how it was to kiss the gorgeous Kunoichi and the fact that Yugao was smiling the entire time. Something clicked that time inside Naruto and he couldn't help but smile in response. How many times do I have to ask for you to tell me what happened that night, Naruto? I want to know, please. How many times do I have to say to you, Ero-sensei, that's mine and Yugao-chan's privacy? Dear Kami, sometimes I wonder if you're asking this, so that you can use us as characters for your next book. Jiraiya had the decency to snort at the blonde from being caught. His new book, Ika Ika Makeout Tactics, was indeed developed by watching Naruto and Yugao interact with one another. Jiraiya was just thankful that Naruto didn't read his book, otherwise the wise ass would figure it out instantly and, well, he didn't want to think about getting the blonde angry, not if Yugao happens to join his side after knowing as well. The subject was dropped as they entered the administration building, all keen on talking to Tsunade as soon as possible. At the Hokage's office . Tsunade was now alone in her office when a sudden knock was heard. Giving it no mind, she authorized entrance, before the door opened. It took only a glimpse of blonde hair entering her office to realize just who was at the door. She took a moment to seize him up from head to toe and she was surprised at how much bigger he was now. He was easily her height if not more. Also, he changed his clothes drastically, Tsunade reasoned. She happened to like it in fact and couldn't help but wonder what happened to change his mind about getting rid of those hideous orange clothes. She was by his side in a minute, before enveloping the young man in a fierce hug, which much to her surprise, was returned as she felt Naruto's arms around her. I missed you, Tsunade-bachan, sorry about the name calling, I guess some old habits don't change, he. Missed you too, brat, and I do care about the name, so stop calling me that, okay? I can tell you've changed a lot, I'm really glad to see you again, Tsunade said with a smile on her face as she looked at the younger blonde. Now that the sentimental reunion was over, Tsunade went back to her desk and returned to the Hokage position, before addressing the two once more. So, I see you managed to improve, after all. You're expecting us not to bring any results. You insult my teaching skills, Suheim, mumbled Jiraiya, earning a smile from the Hokage, before she heard the door knocking once more. Excuse me, Tsunade-sama, but Shizune, was, Naruto, you're back, Sakura shouted as she fastened the steps to face the new blonde before her, and just like Tsunade, she was admiring every bit of this new Naruto, not in the same way, though, as Tsunade was more of a motherly manner and Sakura was, well, moving on. Sakura, it's been a while. How are you doing? Asked Naruto. Meanwhile, Tsunade and Jiraiya were exchanging some words while looking at the teammates reuniting once more. Jiraiya explained about Yugao going to Anbu headquarters and a little summary of Naruto's training trip, including some aspects of Naruto and Yugao's interaction that shocked Tsunade, but her eyes returned to normal. Surely, Naruto would be able to heal the woman's depression, but she didn't know this relationship would actually be a romantic relationship. After a while, talking, Naruto heard from Tsunade that he was to be tested right away. Okay, but how do you want me to show my skills? Naruto asked, before Tsunade pointed to the furthest window of the room. The blonde, then, opened the window and looked outside for a while, before he spotted his opponent reading that smug book, before greeting the blonde. You got taller, Naruto, that's for sure. I trust that your training has honed your skills as you desired. As Kakashi entered the room, he saw also Sakura. You two will be my opponent, Kakashi said. I want to see how you two will fare against someone of Kakashi's skills. Sakura, show me you haven't been slacking in your training. The fight will occur at Training Ground N7 in exactly 4 hours. Both me and Jiraiya will be there as well to supervise, and Naruto, depending on the skills you show, there will be a reward for you. Nobody in the room, except for Jiraiya, knew Naruto to look at Tsunade with suspicion and skepticism. Sakura was only waiting for the blonde to scream to the heavens about whatever the reward is and challenge Kakashi that he would win for sure. But instead, he just looked at the Hokage with his eyes unmoving and a simple smile on his face. Could we perhaps do it now? I kind of have a date with someone and she's kind of hard to find if I were to cancel it. Sakura was shocked instantly. Naruto on a date, but he just arrived, how could that be? Kakashi was also shocked at this information, since he was having the same thoughts as Sakura. However, one thing occurred to him. He heard that one of his old Anbu subordinates, Izuki Yugao, joined Naruto and Jiraiya on their travels, but the woman was so fixed on avenging Hayate, no, it couldn't be possible. Hopefully, Jiraiya solved the entire situation. Don't worry, Naruto, I'll find her and explain the situation. I'm sure she'll be delighted to see the display, said Jiraiya, before he vanished within a swirl of leaves, leaving Naruto with a smile as he left the room, with the promise of meeting them on Training Ground 7. Sakura was gawking like a fish and so was Kakashi, but Tsunade couldn't help but smile at the blonde's actions. Well, since that's already out of the way, why don't you two scram out of my office, because I got work to do. With Naruto . After leaving the office, Naruto chose to wander around town for a while, as in getting once again adjusted to the sights. Apart from the inclusion of Tsunade's head at the Hokage monument, nothing much has changed, he reasoned as he passed through the academy and a couple of restaurants and stores that he remembered 3 years ago. People would wander around chatting happily with friends, lovers, family. Suddenly, he heard Sakura shouting for him to wait, getting his attention, thus stopping in the middle of the street. Hey Sakura, what's up? The girl took a while to recover from so much running, apparently from chasing Naruto all the way from the administration building. Naruto, I wanted to catch up with you. You leave for 3 years and then come back, I want to know what happened, how was it? It was great, Jiraiya-sensei taught me lots of great stuff. I managed to perfect some flaws about my before skills and even managed to add quite a few extra. Actually, I plan to show them in our match against Kakashi-sensei. What about you, though? I'd be wrong to presume you're a chunin now. Sakura looked at the blonde strangely as he was talking. Naruto was just so much different now that she felt like she didn't know him at all, the strange level of confidence, the calm talking, expressing different words than ramen and Hokage. Yeah, I managed to pass last year, in Takagakure. Both I and Shino managed to pass, but the others managed at the following exams. Now, out of our academy friends, only you aren't a chunin yet, Naruto. Neji recently got promoted to Junin and it's doing a lot of missions with Guy-sensei and Kakashi-sensei. Sakura thought the blonde would be shouting mad at the news of being the last one, but instead, he just kept that smile of his, as he continued walking, presumably to his apartment. That's nice, Neji is a talented shinobi, I'm sure it was only a matter of time until his talent was noticed by the Hokage. Now, I guess I have to pass the next one and become a chunin just like all you guys. Hopefully, I could, perhaps, surpass Neji and become a Junin as well in the future. Now, I wonder what happened to my apartment since I was gone. After I left, I forgot to ask someone to take care of it for me, so I wonder what a mess it must be right now. Wanna help me clean? Asked Naruto. The girl nodded, before they went up the stairs and stopped once they reached his floor. When the door was opened, no one was prepared for the sudden wave of dust to fill their lungs, making both shinobis cough instantly. Cough, cough, wait right here Sakura, I'll get inside and open the window, man I can't see a thing inside. After he entered, Sakura lost sight of him and wondered if she should have checked his apartment every once in a while. It wasn't until the dust cloud started to vanish that the blonde shouted for her to enter. As she got inside, she looked at the window that Naruto mentioned and thanked the heavens for the sudden air entrance that filled the room, cleaning their lungs a bit. Needless to say, the place was a freaking mess. Some clothes tossed on the floor, old ramen cups piled next to the only garbage can which clearly wasn't emptied if the stinking smell was any indication. Okay, I almost feel like hiring a genin team to clean this place, it's a mess in here. Well, let's clean right. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Instantly, 4 doppelgangers appeared next to Naruto, and then all 5 of them started cleaning, each doing a specific task, thus not needing Sakura's help in the end. The original one gathered his old orange jumpsuits in order to burn them all, since he already had a change in wardrobe. One of the clones was responsible for gathering the litter on the ground and throwing in a big garbage disposal located on the building's first floor. 2 clones wiped the dust off the wooden floor and some accumulated at the walls. The window needed some cleaning as well, so the 4th clone was in charge of that. In little to no time, Naruto's place was already clean and the real Naruto dispelled the clones while clapping his hands signifying the job done. Sakura, though, just kept watching the clones do all the work and was amazed at the time needed to clean everything, and she actually noticed that no spot was left unchecked by the blonde, which was surprising considering that Naruto was after all a boy and as such, a boy wouldn't be able to clean at certain spots. Well, now we can be here, without risk of coughing to death. So, how was your training this last 3 years? Asked Naruto, getting the pink-haired girl's attention. It was great as well. Tsunade-sama and Shizune-senpai are very strict and in little to no time, the results were already showing up. I managed to learn some medical ninjutsu under their wing and even got to help them at the hospital, taking care of some patients, although Tsunade-sama is still due to allow me on the more sensitive procedures. I even got some classes in poisons and antidotes from both Shizune-senpai and Anko-senpai. One piece of advice, though, Anko-senpai is stricter than Shizune and Tsunade-sama combined. I mean, she literally tossed me on the ground several times, until I learned them. In the end, though, it was for the better, as I intend to create antidote for every poison in existence at the elemental nations in the future. How about you? Tsunade-sama told me Jiraiya-sama is a master of ninjutsu and even the art of fuinjutsu, though I don't know much more than the usual sealing scrolls. Naruto kept hearing everything and smiling through the whole thing. He was wondering about Sakura's sudden change in behavior from that usual short temper of hers, when the blonde acted stupid in front of her. Truth to be told, Naruto was wondering if his teammate acted that way because of the things he would do in order to get attention, because now that they were talking like equals, she was much calmer than before, which was strange. Jiraiya-sensei was also strict as hell. We did some training with the Rasengan that would send me to unconsciousness almost every day. We sparred almost every day as well, and the man helped me in correcting a lot of my flaws regarding taijutsu and weapon throwing. I'll tell you, boosting of confidence aside, I thought I had it all once I graduated and became a genin, but after what happened, it showed me that my skills were nothing compared to what it should have been. Luckily, I managed to see them now, right? Also, we used to travel a lot and Jiraiya took me to see some great sights around the elemental nations. There is this place in water country called Taki no Sampasu, Waterfall of the Three Paths, and it's very beautiful. We happened to train there for a long time, so that I could get adjusted to strong water currents, while sparring with him. These last 3 years were very good, indeed, Sakura. As the conversation continued, Sakura definitely stopped thinking about the differences between this Naruto and the one she came to know. To her, it was like seeing 2 distinguished personalities, whose comparison was just not possible. So, she settled for knowing this new Naruto and go on from there. It wasn't until Sakura mentioned Sasuke's name that Naruto's usually relaxed expression suddenly changed and the girl noticed instantly. In fact, she was rather uncomfortable in discussing the Uchiha manner with Naruto, because of what the blonde told her 3 years ago, but the fact remained that Sasuke was a part of Team 7 and Sakura wanted the team to be reunited once more, regardless of her feelings for the raven-haired boy. Naruto, for his part, though about lashing out at Sakura for trusting someone who didn't think twice about betraying the so-called Team 7, but between doing this and risk crushing her heart, the blonde chose to be stoic about the subject. Sakura, you already know my position in this manner, so it's better for us if we place a mute point in all this. I can see that you're eager to bring him back, and although I don't agree with you, I'll respect it, seeing as you are a teammate and a friend. I only hope that he doesn't do to you what he did to me. Sakura didn't need to ask what Sasuke did to Naruto at the time, since it was pretty obvious, by remembering Naruto at the hospital 3 years ago. However, she was surprised with Naruto's strange and somewhat mature answer to an obvious emotional concern. I can see this trip did well to you, Naruto. You're definitely more mature than when you left. We better go to the training ground, because it's almost time and I don't think Kakashi-sensei will be late this time. After the blonde offered a nod, they left the premise and went to the training ground. With Yugao . Right after presenting once more at the Anbu HQ, Yugao was surprised that her captain Tenzu released her from presenting for duty the first day. Getting some spars with Naruto was alright and kept her from rotting her skills, but she missed the constant rush of Anbu-level missions. Now, though, she was with nothing to do, until the blonde came by and took her to their date at the sushi place. To this time, she still was a little lost concerning this rather odd relationship. It all began with Hayate's message from the beyond saying that she'd have to move on and the hidden message that the blonde would be a valuable partner. The truth was that after a few dates and conversations throughout the trip, Naruto proved himself time and time again that he was more than a 15-year-old genin. His opinions were rather mature for his age, she reasoned, and, surprisingly, he managed to keep a certain level of conversation that Yugao is used to have with her peers. A sudden memory appeared full force in her mind about a special day when he invited her to go the water country's capital city as his date, and it made her blush madly. They didn't do anything out of the ordinary apart from making out severely. At the time, a sudden desire of flesh appeared in both of them which made Naruto pay the bill sooner than expected, before they rented a hotel room to be together. Just the feel of the blonde's toned body at the time managed to send shivers to her body. However, what could have been a perfect night ended up being cut short because both she and Naruto sensed some strange activity happening and opted to flee the sight from fear that Akatsuki was behind all this, but the thought was forever kept in her mind. As she wandered around town, her eyes caught sight of her role model, or rather what he used to be when a part of the Anbu Corps. Hatake Kakashi was, by all means, a legend of the shinobi world, as the copycat ninja Kakashi no Sharingan, although that book he was reading managed to lower his reputation around the village. Not that the man cared, though, as several people already told him to stop and he paid it no mind. Greetings, senpai, it's been a long time since we last met. Instantly, Kakashi stopped his attention from the book and looked at his former Anbu subordinate, before greeting her with the usual, yo. Yugao-san, indeed it's been a while, how are you doing? The greeting was okay and all, but Yugao could very ascertain when someone was coming with bullshit talk with her, before saying what they really want, so it was fair to say that she preferred that the man would stop doing this and go directly to the point. Kakashi-senpai, I know you too much for you to just greet me and ask how I am doing. You chose to meet me here, because you were aware this is the path out of the headquarters. What is it that you want? Asked Yugao, showing no signs of being amused at Kakashi's stoic personality. Straight to the point as always. I was hoping to see if we could discuss about a certain blonde that from what I hear, has been common knowledge between you and me. Yugao looked at the man in front of her incredulously. Kakashi never bothered about others' personal lives, seeing as his personal life wasn't that remarkable in the first place. When she was with Hayate, the man wouldn't even lift an eyebrow in surprise after the announcement of their engagement. Nevertheless, figuring out what he wanted to talk about Naruto was better than assuming that he knows about the fact that they were dating. Naruto. What about him? I'm already aware of the fact that you traveled with him and Jiraiya-sama for 1.5 years, and when he came back, he mentioned that he couldn't take too long for an exercise to show the results of his training because he had a date with someone. Now, I know that the blonde is growing up and maybe attract some attention of the female population, but even then, I don't consider him fast enough to arrange a date just after arriving. Kakashi-senpai, seriously. Yugao didn't know what to say to the man who considered himself responsible for the blonde just because the man was his Chunin sensei 3 long years ago, and why would he care anyway? Yugao heard the word, someone, and smiled slightly at the crafty blonde from keeping everyone at a loss on who would the date, but Kakashi linked the dots pretty easily. It didn't matter, though. So, you're really quick in assume that because of what he said, I'd be his date, because of the time we spent together. Seriously, Kakashi-senpai, what if Naruto met with a kunoichi from the village when she was on a mission or something? You have yet to deny your involvement in this manner, Yugao, asked Kakashi, already sure of the answer, but also because the woman never lost that smile of his, like telling the man it was not of his business who she should date and why. You're right, I'm not denying. Indeed, Naruto and I are dating, so what's the problem? Kakashi's intention, at first, was to give the girl some heads up about dating someone younger than her, and Naruto of all people. However, just like Sakura, Kakashi was under the impression that the boy was just as he was before he left, immature and loud. Yugao, for instance, was already aware of Naruto's underestimation by his colleagues in thinking that he was a no-good loudmouth and rash-thinking individual. Oh man, he thinks he knows Naruto. If you're thinking about the blonde's previous behavior, then you of all people should be aware of his intentions at the time, to act like he did. After all, aren't you the creator of the phrase, look underneath the underneath? Kakashi's sudden serious visage told her that maybe Kakashi misinterpreted Naruto's act of ignorance towards his surroundings, so she settled herself to explain better from the man who until now thought he knew about his student's life. Seeking attention was everything he carved for, seeing as people either ignored him or sent hateful glares because of what he carries within him. For instance, Kakashi-senpai, would you consider him the same Naruto you know, after he asked you about his skills as a shinobi 3 years ago? If he was anything like you portrayed him out to be, despite getting beat constantly, he would continue with the same reckless thought over and over again, thus getting killed in the process. You met the real him, albeit briefly, one day prior to his trip with Jiraiya. Now, seeing him today, could you compare him with the one you knew? Kakashi concurred with everything the woman told, although he didn't show it. It was true that Kakashi was misinformed of the blonde's presumably cheerful demeanor, never once displaying a hint of sadness or seriousness in his tone of voice. The man had the decency to sigh in dismay at the sudden revelations. I guess you're right, although I have yet to see this new Naruto you portray him out to be in the midst of battle, and only then will I know that he changed for good, which in fact will occur at exactly 15 minutes from now at training ground number 7. He invited you to come watch, since it will get in the way of your date. I'll be there in 15 minutes, I just have to change my clothes and put my Anbu uniform. You and only you have knowledge of our relationship, senpai, and for now, I and Naruto agreed that is to remain this way, see ya there. After saying, Yugao vanished within a shunshin, thus leaving Kakashi alone thinking about the blonde enigma and how different could his fighting skills be. At training ground number 7 . The sun was about to set as Kakashi, Sakura and Naruto looked at each other, prior to the battle that was about to occur. Near a tree, were Shizune and Tsunade looking at him from afar, with Jiraiya sitting on top of a tree branch with a lone Anbu member standing on top of said tree branch. To the untrained eye, Naruto was focusing his sight entirely on Kakashi, but his eyes were more inclined to see both Kakashi and Yugao, whose position was exactly passing Kakashi's right shoulder at the moment. As in being nostalgic, Kakashi suddenly pulled 2 bells from his pocket, before explaining the rules. As you can see, it will be bell test all over again, same objective, same rules. I trust that you now will understand when I say that you have to come at me as if you were after my head, and seeing as I have a feeling you two are not to be taken lightly, I will use the Sharingan this time. Both paid quick attention at the mission objectives while Kakashi strapped the bells on his waist, before placing one hand on his pocket, while observing his opponents. The fight already started, but no side made a move so far. Suddenly, both Naruto and Sakura threw some projectiles towards their sensei, who in turn, jumped by instinct, before taking 2 kunais since his Sharingan already envisioned the next move. Another barrage of projectiles was thrown at the silver-haired sensei, who in turn, managed to deflect with his kunais, before he threw them towards Naruto and Sakura. Out of the blue, the man started a quick series of hand seals, before the 2 kunais transformed to 10 projectiles, forcing both Sakura and Naruto to evade the barrage, Sakura evading from the left and Naruto doing some backflips. After evading, Naruto and Sakura charged the descending Kakashi from both flanks, being Sakura the one who aimed the first punch. However, Kakashi's Sharingan advised him to evade the punch from so much chakra being focused. As the punch passed through, the wave of chakra actually managed to hit the tree, and Kakashi wondered what exactly the Hokage taught her. However, he didn't have time to wonder as Naruto came by with a reverse kick aiming his left stomach, forcing Kakashi to use his arm to defend, which was surprising considering that the kick wasn't a wasted move. The silver-haired shinobi used brute strength to throw Naruto away from him, before he aimed a strong kick at Sakura, but the girl was already far out of range, before she threw a couple of shurikens at his blind side. Focusing chakra to his legs, Kakashi managed to jump in time, before landing on a tree top as he looked at his students. Their taijutsu was already high chunin material, which caused the man to smirk with a sudden feeling of pride, but then he realized that it wasn't him who taught them, so he chooses to focus at the task at hand. Suddenly, Kakashi vanished from sight, leaving Naruto and Sakura in the middle of the field, looking around to spot the surprise attack that would surely follow. Sakura, for instance, was now applying what he learned under Tsunade. Left, right, above, behind. So, if he's in none of these positions, then. She focused all her chakra in one single tenketsu and punched the ground with all her might. As a result, the entire ground exploded upon contact, thus shaking the entire ground, which almost made Naruto lose his balance as he questioned what the hell was that Sakura just did. This thought was mirrored by an entirely shocked Kakashi who appeared beneath the now destroyed field. Kakashi-sensei, I found you. The man now knew that Sakura learned the secret behind the Hokage's taijutsu technique, and he concluded that being on the receiving end of one punch would mean his end, so better stop kidding around. Meanwhile, Tsunade was appraising her skills and Jiraiya was muttering silent words about a second Tsunade. Back to the fight, Kakashi was now facing his students, before Naruto summoned two Kage Bunshin all of a sudden. Without even attacking, Naruto screamed the word henge and two windmill shurikens appeared in both his hands in an instant. He threw the first one at Kakashi who dodged it easily to the right, before the blonde threw the other one, forcing him to jump, but he managed to dodge them all. However, much to his surprise, Naruto was already in front of him, with a roundhouse kick just seconds away of hitting Kakashi's head. While being impressed by the blonde's speed, Kakashi managed to defend the powerful kick with his arms, before a kunai suddenly appeared on his hand with the intent of hurting the blonde. It was stopped however, as Naruto managed to hold Kakashi's wrist as they descended to the ground, where Sakura was waiting to deliver the punch. Meanwhile, Kakashi was wondering if the girl would deliver the punch with Naruto nearby, when he realized the blonde substituted himself with a log nearby, leaving him alone to receive the punch. It was luck that a tree branch appeared, allowing Kakashi to flip and land a safe distance away from him, before he hid behind a tree, while watching the splendid teamwork this two were displaying right now. Suddenly, however, a very familiar sound of chakra being summoned into the palm of Naruto's hand, Kakashi got away just in time before Naruto slammed a much bigger Rasengan at the tree, shredding it instantly. At the stands, both Tsunade and Shizune was gawking like a fish at the fight occurred. Certainly, Naruto and Sakura already knew each other and managed to fight together accordingly, but this was unheard of. Plus the fact that Naruto managed to do a Rasengan without the clone's assistance showed much of his training and skills. After evading the deadly attack, Kakashi looked at his students while panting a bit. Surely, keeping on taijutsu wouldn't be a good option for the man, seeing as these two worked well together. Where one would attack, the other would remain as backup and vice versa. He didn't have a time off with them, so maybe a new approach was preferable. Lesson 1. Taijutsu completed, now is time for Lesson 2, Ninjutsu. Instantly, Kakashi started doing a huge sequence of hand seals with an impressive speed, before he inhaled air into his lungs. Kaiten Gukakyu no Jutsu, Fire Release, Grand Fireball Jutsu. He, then, exhaled the technique straight at the two, before he saw that Sakura was about to flee, but stood her ground as the technique approached. Apparently, Naruto said something and she chose to remain. But Naruto couldn't know about Suten Suijin Heki, Water Release, Water Barrier Jutsu. As the fireball approached, a torrent of water appeared in front of them, protecting Naruto and Sakura from the incoming attack, before Kakashi stopped the attack, giving the much-awaited signal for Naruto for another technique of his own creation. Suten Suryukiba, Water Release, Water Dragon Fang Jutsu. The same torrent of water used for the barrier technique was suddenly transformed into an enormous water dragon as it charged at Kakashi. The technique frightened the Chunin for a while, before he saw that the dragon was passing a great distance above him, making him smile at the attempt of his student to control such a strong technique. He was under the impression that Naruto did the Suryuden no Jutsu, but this technique was different. His Sharingan alerted him of it, as he witnessed the dragon's claw just seconds away from decapitating him, forcing Kakashi to evade to the left. However, the attack managed to hit Kakashi's arm slightly, cutting the man's right sleeve entirely. He focused his Sharingan on Naruto's smile, before he realized that this was his trick the entire time. Up on the stands, Jiraiya and Yugao were talking about this new technique and praising Naruto for its usage, while Tsunade and Shizune were trying to see if this was a genjutsu or something. The Naruto they know wouldn't be able to do Suiten jutsus. Looking at the perverted smirking, she knew the man kept the information until Naruto showed it himself. Back to the fight, Kakashi was now dodging another barrage of attacks by Naruto and Sakura, while feeling his stamina leaving him with each evading movement. It was time to bring out the big guns now, since Naruto showed his. Landing a kick on Sakura's chin, Kakashi backflipped as Naruto managed to grab her falling body from hitting on the ground, before he made some hand seals. Raiten Denku no Okami, Lightning Release, Lightning Wolf Jutsu. Seeing the incoming attack, Naruto grabbed Sakura with his arms before jumping away in time to avoid the fast-approaching wolf. However, his feet weren't as fortunate, which sent thousands of volts to Naruto's system instantly, earning some screams in agony from the blonde, but other than that, he was fine. Lucky he was that he had a major wind affinity the likes of which no one knew. Sakura, when I say so, you'll move and collect the bells from him, okay? The woman obeyed instantly. Naruto was different. Hell, she didn't even know half the techniques Naruto and Kakashi used, and his moves so far spoke highly of his skills. He, then, got up and Kakashi immediately narrowed his Sharingan eye at Naruto's next move. Suddenly, a vast series of hand seals were being made and Kakashi waited for the eye to tell what would come to him. However, the strange thing was that Kakashi just couldn't read Naruto's thoughts. By applying a closer look, Kakashi saw with shock that Naruto wasn't looking at him, but rather his feet, not allowing the Sharingan to know what would come. Fuyuten Daitopper, Wind Release, Great Breakthrough Jutsu. The man was caught by surprise when his eyes saw a sudden ferocious gust of wind towards him, but it was too late to focus chakra on the ground, as Kakashi was sent flying uncontrollably towards the incoming set of trees. It was worse to Kakashi, because he had a lighting affinity, so wind attacks were his major weakness. A sudden bell noise alerted him, but when he sought to look at the bells strapped on his waist, he saw with shock that it wasn't there anymore. Closing his eyes as in waiting for the impact, he was surprised upon seeing that Jiraiya was there waiting for him with a rather big toad who caught him and placed him gently on the ground. When looking up, he saw Jiraiya with a smirk. I forgot to tell you not to underestimate Naruto, Kakashi. In the end, he gave you quite a fight, didn't he? Kakashi was slowly getting up as he saw Naruto and Sakura each carrying a bell while talking to one another. Indeed, Yugao's words made more sense now. The blonde in front of him wasn't the same one he knew, or at least he thought he knew. Afterwards, Tsunade arrived in the middle of the clearing just as Kakashi arrived at the scene. So Kakashi, how is your opinion about their skills as a team? Asked Tsunade, though her answer was already certain. Kakashi closed his Sharingan and looked at his team with a smile on his face. Both Naruto and Sakura have what it takes to form a team, and both have chunin level skills, with Naruto being Junin in terms of ninjutsu. I'm sure they'll fit your criteria perfectly. Tsunade and Shizune smiled, before she turned to Naruto and Sakura. So, from now on, you two and Kakashi will form Team Kakashi and will be grouped on missions, and Naruto, said the Hokage, calling the blonde's attention. As of right now, you're awarded with the position of Chunin of Konohamaru. Now pay attention, because generally, in order for a genin to be promoted, he or she must attend the exams, but are occasions when the Hokage, together with the responsible Junin, can promote the genin once he show enough skills to give him the chunin position, and since Kakashi consider you as such, it's my privilege to grant you the position. The blonde was indeed shocked, but he had a feeling the woman wasn't quite done yet. Now, a chunin is a position of privilege within our ranks, and as such, it will be required of you to protect Konoha on the front lines. Also, a chunin is to act as captain, so you'll also be drafted to lead a genin mission outside the village from time to time. I can see that your skills skyrocketed under Jiraiya's guidance, and I believe you earned this position. Now, I would give you the chunin flak jacket, but I see that you already have one, so you can keep it, no problem. Any questions? Nope. No questions whatsoever, just the shocked face was evident in his face. After Naruto and Sakura's test against Kakashi, everyone went to their respective homes, but not Jiraiya and Tsunade, as the latter invited her teammate for some sake in order to talk about the village's newest chunin shinobi. Tsunade was dumbstruck the entire fight, and she wanted answers that only he could supply. Well, Yugao could as well, but the Godime wasn't in the mood to ask one of her subordinate Anbu for a bottle of sake, or two for that matter. So, now, both she and the Gama-sanin were pouring cup after cup down their throats, before Tsunade smashed the sake bottle on the table and looked straight at Jiraiya, who by the way was showing, maybe, the biggest grin possible as he knew that Naruto impressed her in more ways than anyone thought possible. I take it you want answers about the brat's skills. The look of sarcasm on her face was enough to satisfy his answer as he smiled and poured one more cup of sake, before smiling at the blonde. Jiraiya never thought he would enjoy this so much. The look on her face, daring him to speak or else she would take action, was too much to his drunken state, but he knew not to push her buttons any longer, since Tsunade had quite a short temper and could land quite a punch at his jaw. What did you expect, Tsunade? 3 years ago I told you that he had potential to be great. You saw the results yourself, didn't you? Yeah, I did, but his growth is unheard of, damn it. In 3 years, he managed to correct every flaw he had regarding taijutsu and weapon accuracy. He learned and mastered 2 elements, and I happen to know, from his file, that he's attuned to the wind element, not both wind and water. He learned a new element from scratch. Don't tell me you don't think this surprising. Even Minato took longer to learn the lightning element and he was considered the strongest shinobi in existence. Come on Jiraiya, spill it. Tsunade was getting irritated at each passing second with Jiraiya's nothing but vague answers. The man for his part felt the urge to tell about Naruto's other skills, but then, he would actually fear for his life. The Godime was already impressed with what she saw of Naruto's skills. There wasn't any need to further fill her agony right now in understanding all this, especially when her mind was already immersed in alcohol, thus devoid of any rational judgment. Okay, Tsunade, calm down for a second and I'll explain. Time is a hard reality for shinobi, you and I both know that. It takes a long period of one's dedication and compromise in order to learn a certain skill, yet alone master one. However, because of the blonde's abundance of chakra, time doesn't apply to him the same way as it does for us. You would do well to remember the usage of the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, his signature move. By this, Tsunade was already drawing to the needed conclusions, but Jiraiya continued the explanation. Kage Bunshin was mostly used for reconnaissance, simply because whatever memory the clone gathers, it's immediately transferred to the original, upon being dispelled. Now, with Naruto's chakra capacity, he isn't limited to 4, 5 or 6 clones. He can summon 200 of them and still possess the chakra to train his techniques. Now, with 1 real and 1 clone, you do a task half the time needed. Imagine the same principle with 100 clones. The blonde trained in 3 years, the equivalent of 10 years easily. The woman had the decency to be shocked at the number of clones Naruto manages to create and still possess enough chakra to train on his own. However, this ability was unheard of in Tsunade's opinion. If such ability was real, then there wasn't anything Naruto couldn't learn with the help of his clones. Looking at her teammate's eyes, she was getting suspicious. True, Naruto did accomplish a lot already: taijutsu, elemental ninjutsu, weapon accuracy, but what if the blonde had more up his sleeve? Surely, the chunin could have used his skills with clones to learn a totally different new art. Looking at him with a smug look on her face, Tsunade questioned the man while holding the sake bottle on her left hand. Okay Jiraiya, I'm convinced of the blonde's growth, but we're talking about the skills that he showed throughout the fight against Kakashi. What of the rest, Jiraiya? Certainly, with the Kage Bunshin style of training, Naruto could certainly learn other valuable skills that would better mold his skills as a shinobi. The pervert had to smile at his teammate's deduction. Not enough for him to tell about Naruto's skills in dispelling mid to high level genjutsu as well as in wielding the bow staff. Surely, he would show everything he has learned at the fight against Kakashi. Tsunade. You can't fight someone of Kakashi's caliber and even still manage to hide his skills. We focused, mainly, on those 2 elements and his taijutsu. We sparred every day until we returned and Yugao helped as well. She managed to correct 1 flaw with his stance as well as helped him with suit and manipulation. She was greatly beneficial to his training, you know. Jiraiya knew what he was doing by adding Yugao to the conversation. By adding her name, Tsunade forgot entirely about Naruto's hidden skills and thought about a relationship between an Anbu captain and a chunin. The Hokage, for her part, frowned at the pervert's sudden change in discussion, but didn't create a fuss over it. She was just as interested in the blonde's romantic relationship as she was regarding the blonde's shinobi abilities. Speaking about Yugao, what, or rather how did it happen? I mean, before she would go on suicidal mission after another in hopes that some lucky kunai would slice her jugular, Tsunade said. I still don't know Tsunade. Ever since she started traveling with us, she and Naruto quickly formed a bond of friendship. Every day, Both of them shared a lot of stories together, until one day, I wake up to see they both hugging each other. Afterwards, feelings started to bloom for one another. One thing that both the Gaki and Yugao have in common is that they could keep a secret better than anyone I've seen, and that's saying a lot, considering my spying network. There was one night they went out in Water Country's capital that I still want to hear about. The damn brat just won't tell a thing, damn it. Jiraiya's mumbling managed to get a rise out of Tsunade as she, then, poured some sake down her throat. Serves you right, pervert, stop messing in other people's lives. Now, that's enough drink for me, I'm afraid. I'm going home to have some sleep before Shizune comes barging in lecturing me to stop drinking. Once Jiraiya paid for the huge tip, both Sannin went on different ways, with Jiraiya knowing that Tsunade was safe, considering that Anbu was following her every step, preventing the almighty Godime Hokage from making silly mistakes that could endanger her image regarding both the village as well as others throughout the elemental nations. Next day. The next day, at his office, Tsunade was reading the mission requests while rubbing her temples, in hopes of reducing the painful hangover she was feeling right now. It was even worse since, on top of the alcohol still lingering inside her blood vessels, she still had to hear her assistant's nagging voice, lecturing her to stop drinking, especially because of her status as Godime Hokage. Looking at a B-ranked mission request, Tsunade was still rubbing her temples as she realized what the mission entailed. Clearing her mind of her pain, Tsunade smiled, finding the right time to test the newly formed team. Shizune, call the shinobi written in this mission request for me ASAP, will you? The black-haired woman frowned at the lack of control in the Hokage's voice, but took the mission scroll, before looking at the people designated for the mission. With a smile on her face, she assigned one Anbu to get the chunin that will be responsible for the assignment as well as his team. At Naruto's house. Naruto was having a peaceful slumber as the clock near his bed showed it was already 7 o'clock in the morning. Usually, Naruto would have to meet his team at only 10 or 12, if Kakashi's tardiness wasn't yet cured. Suddenly, a knock was heard at the door, jerking him out of bed instantly while mumbling some curse words at the damn morning lover who would think of waking him at 7 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Now the blonde was pissed as he marched towards the door with very intent on knocking some sense into this person's mind, except if Yugao were to make a surprise visit, then the blonde wouldn't be mad. Opening the door in a normal manner, Naruto was half expecting to see Yugao, only to see a silver-haired chunin waving his hands in a greeting manner. Morning, Naruto. It took a while for the scene to be registered in Naruto's mind. He knew the clock wasn't broken, it was 7 o'clock in the morning right now, the sun was just now getting up and the birds were beginning their morning songs of joy. With all this adding up, it was impossible for someone like this guy to show up this time of the hour. Kakashi, for instance, was looking at the blonde's questioned looks with a frown on his face, as his students had so little expectation from their sensei. It made matters worse when Naruto moved his hands to dispel a supposed genjutsu, before Kakashi had to intervene and prove that it was real. It's not a genjutsu, Naruto. We have a mission, get dressed. I'll be right here. Sorry, if I was a little shocked, Kakashi-sensei, I'll be ready in a few minutes, Naruto said. At the Hokage's office. Half an hour later, Team Kakashi was joined in front of Tsunade and Shizune as the Hokage addressed the mission that they were about to undertake. Team Kakashi, we've received call from a city 10 miles northeast from here, near the Fire Country's capital city. The Fire Daimyo would normally send his samurai to investigate, but he passed the mission to us instead. It's a B-ranked mission consisting of releasing the village from a group of missing nins from a megacore that are terrorizing over there. Proceed with utmost caution. From what I understand from the mission request, the group is quite extensive, probably 2 to 1. Oh, and they managed to capture the village mayor's 10-year-old daughter. You 3 are to leave immediately. Any questions? The chunin on the team nodded their heads in the negative as Kakashi was reading the mission scroll with a relaxed and a somewhat bored visage on his face, before he faced the Godime Hokage. Any known skills we should be aware of? Kakashi asked. We're talking about civilians here, Kakashi. They wouldn't be able to give us a thorough report on what ninja techniques they're using. We're lucky to at least know their numbers. Team Kakashi is to leave right now. Suddenly, 2 amounts of leaves and a small tornado appeared in Team Kakashi's place, before they vanished via Shunshin, towards the mission at hand, leaving Shizune and Tsunade alone as the Hokage turned to the next mission assignment. The Hokage was without a care in the world as she assigned a genin team to handle a C-rank document delivery mission, before Shizune decided to interrupt. She was worried for the mission that Team Kakashi was about to undertake. Tsunade-sama, wouldn't it be better to send another team with Team Kakashi? The missing nins are quite a few for a three-man cell, Shizune asked, before hearing Tsunade's warm laughter. Do not worry Shizune, Kakashi is one of this village's elite chunin and Sakura was tutored by both of us, she'll be fine. Last but not least, there is Naruto. The pervert confided me some information about his training and I can say for sure, is that no one deals against groups of shinobi enemies, better than him. You saw him yesterday, didn't you? That brat surprises me every day and this mission will be a piece of cake for them. Now, call me Ebisu's team, I have an errand for them to run. After Shizune left the office, Tsunade was remembering what the pervert said to her, before they left the bar last night. With Team Kakashi . After leaving the administration building, Team Kakashi were jumping through rooftops towards the east gate. According to the scroll, time was of the essence in this manner, the entire village was being bullied by the missing nins and they even have the mayor tied down, because of her daughter being kidnapped. Both Naruto and Sakura were aware of the sensitive situation they were in as the last few buildings passed by them before handling the documents to the chunin on duty at the gate. It wasn't long until they went back to the sky, but instead of rooftops, Team Kakashi now was traveling through the heavy forest that surrounded the village. The temperature was staggering, but with the speed they were traveling, the wind gathered was more than enough to cool their skin enough to withstand the heat. Not that it mattered, though, as they were born in fire country and this hot temperature is common this time of the year. One person, in particular, was enjoying in comfort silence, the great many sights that surround the hidden village in the leaves. The almost quiet but smooth sound of a river that crossed the forest as well as the glistering image of the sun being reflected on the water, the animals minding their own business as all of them decided to refresh their bodies because of the extremely hot temperature. Their travel would last another 20 minutes so Naruto had enough time to administer the sight that he could lay his eyes on. Meanwhile, Sakura and Kakashi were paying close attention to both the path ahead and the blonde on their left flank. The day before, Naruto had still to show his face in Konoha, both Kakashi and Sakura were caught wondering about the other member of the group. How much did the blonde change? What did he see on his travel that changed him so much? These questions kept plaguing their minds constantly as they saw the blonde looking at all directions with a comfort smile on his face, like he was in peace with the world around him. It was a strange sight, whereas before you would see a guy with unlimited amount of energy, jumping constantly and screaming to the heavens about his undying wish of becoming the next Hokage. Now all that energy have seemingly vanished without a trace and it was unsettling to see. Especially for Sakura of all people. The old Team 7 suffered like no other with the betrayal of their comrade Uchiha Sasuke and yet, seeing Naruto like this without a care in the world, kind of forced her to believe that Sasuke never existed in the first place, kind like their time as a team never existed. Kakashi looked at Sakura's saddened face, before looking forward as their objective was getting closer by the minute. The Junin was equally puzzled with Naruto's new behavior, new way to see things. His most important goal upon taking on a team was to teach them the value of teamwork above all other skills. Granted, Sasuke was to blame for this situation, but while he understood that Naruto changed, he now realized something ironic. He liked the old Naruto more. The silver-haired Junin couldn't help but feel this way. Yes, back there he was brash, annoying and hyperactive like no one, but his compromise with never giving up despite it all, caused Kakashi to smile at his student. Now, it's like he turned from oil to water. This new Naruto was reserved, kept things to himself, definitely skilled if what Kakashi saw the other day was any indication. He stopped his wanderings as he saw a village on the horizon with a couple houses and a small business center. He couldn't detect any presences at all, but Kakashi had enough experience to be able to detect when an enemy is concealing their chakra so as not to get caught by the opponent. Signaling with his hands, the group stopped to a halt as the mission leader turned to address his subordinates. Okay, we are a few miles outside the village, so I'll be briefing you two on the mission specs, so bear with me for a second, since I won't enjoy repeating. Kakashi looked at the two, who in turn, demonstrated their utmost attention, which pleased Kakashi as he managed their full attention. According to the mission request, the enemies are up to 10 missing nins from villages we're still unaware of, so we'll be playing safe at first, gauging their strength. Also, They happen to hold the entire village as hostages for their little scheme, so it will be up to us to get rid of these missing nins. What's most important, right now, is that these guys could either be narrow-minded thugs with shinobi training or deadly killers with an A or higher status on the bingo book. If the latter happens, we have no choice other than to retreat and call for backup of another team before returning. Now, seeing as Sakura is the medic nin of the group, she'll be on the supportive side, in the back, with genjutsu and weapons. That leaves the fight for us Naruto. Sakura was a smart girl and she could catch things at almost the same pace as Shikamaru, and the man was considered a genius amongst the chunin population. Therefore, she managed to notice the look the two shared with each other. It was definitely different than before. Kakashi and Naruto was displaying trust in one another against 10 missing nins. She just prayed that these two would be alright. Fine by me, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto said with excitement, which earned a nod from Kakashi. True, in person, Kakashi wished Naruto didn't change much, but he didn't have one negative bad of the blonde's skills at the moment, and that's saying much in his book. Okay, let's proceed with caution for now. As soon as we arrive, both of you must be ready for any kind of trap. Let's go now. As soon as the order reached their ears, the three vanished in a blur, before arriving in the middle of the village's business center. The place was better described as being abandoned for God knows how many years. No presence that could be seen, no voices that could be heard, nothing. Think they left the place with the villagers as hostages. Are we too late? Sakura asked, but both Naruto and Kakashi managed to sense a great number of chakra looming inside the houses. It was like the enemy was just waiting for the group to spring the trap, before moving in for the kill. It was when Naruto placed his foot just past the business center that the ground started to crumble out of a sudden. The team wasn't keen of waiting to see what would happen, so each of them jumped on top of a house, just seconds before all hell broke loose. The noise was the signal, Naruto considered as they heard the sound of doors breaking under the pressure of one kick, before the group attacked the Konoha team with shurikens and deadly other projectiles towards what seemed the strongest of the team, namely Naruto and Kakashi. The silver-haired Junin parried every projectile with deadly precision by using 2 kunais on each hand, but Naruto was impaled by all of them, quite to everyone but Kakashi's surprise, before his body was replaced by a log as the blonde appeared by the Junin's side. Kakashi stiffened upon seeing one of the missing nins looking at him with a smile on his face. The man was tall, heavily built with a scar crossing his forehead. The rain-hidden village, scratched forehead protector was located around the man's neck as his black scythe was screaming bloody murder. Naruto saw the look in Kakashi's face and asked away. Do you know him, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto asked, before seeing his sensei briefly nodding, while never taking his eyes away from this terrible enemy. Only in the bingo book, a ranked missing nin Almaru, Maruishi, Boulder. Actually, the one who managed to beat him was Orochimaru, even before facing Hanzo of the Salamander and being, latter, nominated as one of the Sannin. Sakura, said Kakashi, getting the woman's attention as she listened intently. Right now, our priority is to find the mayor's daughter as well as the villagers to make sure they're alright. Me and Naruto will remain and fight this group. Out of the 10, only Almaru represents danger, so I'll take him. Naruto, you'll be up against the rest 9. They're genin to low chunin level, nothing I know you can't handle, right? Only a smile was needed, before Sakura vanished within a blur to look for the little girl's location. Naruto, for his part, smiled at this scenery. Fighting multiple opponents was what he trained so hard for these last 3 years. One of the enemies, when seeing the girl vanish, was about to go look for her, but was stopped by Almaru, who ordered him to take care of the blonde, much to Kakashi's surprise. Almaru, Maruishi, a ranked missing nin, was eyeing Naruto, a tough fighter, but a chunin still. Looking at the blonde, Kakashi was surprised when Naruto grabbed a blue scroll strapped with red tape, before he unwrapped it and extended the scroll in midair. Immediately, smoke filled their position, before Kakashi's eyes widened in surprise as the imposing black bow staff now in Naruto's grasp as he fell into a battle position stance. Kakashi would be surprised by the sudden new skill, but he has other concerns at the moment. Naruto noticed the stare he was receiving from the enemies and even Kakashi's. He knew this would shock his sensei, considering that he had yet to use his bojutsu in a fight next to the silver-haired Junin. Nevertheless, his concerns landed on the 9 missing nins. Of course none of them looked like much, but whereas Naruto would have no trouble fighting one-on-one, but definitely 1 against 9 was a challenge to say the least. I'm not going to ask how or when you learned how to wield the bow staff, and I won't ask why you thought better than not telling about it to me beforehand. What I'm going to ask is for you to be careful, Naruto. I'll be extremely occupied with Almaru and I won't be able to provide cover, Kakashi said, before seeing Naruto smile in appreciation. Don't worry, Kakashi-sensei. I trained a lot these last 3 years on how to take on multiple enemies. I'll be fine. Kakashi nodded his hand in positive, before focusing all his attention on Almaru, who for his part was looking directly at Kakashi, as if the rest of the world wasn't suddenly important. However, the same moment he diverted his attention away from Naruto, the blonde began a huge series of hand seals in order to divide the fight and let Kakashi alone with his opponent. Fuyuten Daitopper, wind release, great breakthrough jutsu. The wind suddenly picked up, alerting Kakashi to the usage of chakra, before he turned to Naruto. Just as he did so, Naruto exhaled a strong gust of wind that managed to send all the opponents flying away from the vicinity, except Almaru, who had enough experience with wind uses to focus some chakra to his feet in order to stick to the ground. Nevertheless, he prided himself of being cautious, and in the end, this mysterious blonde proved to be quite the opponent. Kakashi had to smile at his student, though he had more important matters to take care of. Naruto, at this time, had already vanished within a small tornado, probably towards the position where the others went, thus leaving the two strong opponents alone in a deserted city. I was hoping that Konoha would send someone strong to defend this pathetic excuse of a village. I'm glad they sent you, Sharingan no Kakashi. I'll be testing my skills against you, Almaru said, starting the challenge. Surely, you already battled against tougher opponents than me, Almaru. No matter, though, you won't get out of here alive, Almaru. After accepting the challenge, Kakashi fell into a taijutsu stance, while observing his opponent. The man was obviously built for close to mid-range fighting, so taijutsu wasn't exactly the best alternative of engagement. Plus, the fact that Naruto is facing 9 enemies at the same time worried Kakashi, but he didn't have a choice, but to trust the blonde. There has been 20 years since I faced that snake, Kakashi. After that, no one gave me the rush of a true fighting. You'll provide this for me. Enough talking, let's get this over with, Kakashi said as he lifted his headband, revealing the almighty Sharingan. With Sakura . Away from the fighting, Haruno Sakura was searching for clues within the village territory in order to locate the mayor's kidnapped daughter as well as the rest of the villages, seeing as the missing nins captured them all. She didn't want to leave her comrades behind, but orders were orders, as she happened to take great pride in being loyal. The houses were in bad condition, but as she entered in one of the houses, she was dumbstruck to see blood on the ground, pointing towards the windows, as if whoever it was dragged away by the missing nins. Upon looking at the window, she managed to follow the path of blood through the grassy field, quite to her surprise, since a little rain would wipe this blood away instantly. She shrugged this thought away and followed the path, weary of the presumably obvious clue. Certainly, not even an academy student wouldn't be able to spot the path of blood, thus Sakura was only waiting for a trap to trigger as she followed the path. Eventually, the trail of blood stopped and Sakura looked up to see a cave a few hundred meters in front of her with one man guarding the entrance. Immediately, she rushed to hide behind a canopy tree right next to her. She waited a bit until she was certain that the man didn't spot her position, before she moved through the foliage, until she was at striking distance with the guard. Taking a shuriken from her holster, she threw with utmost proficiency at a specific point in the man's neck, killing him instantly. The noise he made upon falling on the ground gave her the signal to appear, before she checked his vitals to assure that he was dead. As a medic nin, Sakura loathed the necessity of killing the enemy, but as both Shizune and Tsunade taught her, sometimes you have to kill one in order to save 1,000. Not that Sakura enjoyed hearing that, however, it's in her profession's nature to kill when needed of her. Stealing her resolve, she entered the cave, before she smiled upon seeing a group of frightened people staring at her in fear. Do not fear, everyone, we're ninjas from Konoha. We're here to free you, let's go. With Naruto . After Naruto appeared at the clearing, the enemies stared at him with concentration, due to his wind attack earlier. The enemies dressed up pretty much the same. Grey flak jackets with black paints and the usual mask every nin possesses in order to breathe below water. The only difference between each other was the facial features and their hair, with some being raven and a few blondes. Before the Konoha chunin could assess their strength, his enemies charged with intent to kill written all over their face. Quietly grabbing the bow staff, Naruto started spinning it until it formed a circle spin, while at the same time focusing Fuyutin-type chakra through his weapon's length. Just as the enemies were about to arrive and kill the blonde, his jutsu sprang to action, forming a concentrated gust of wind out of the staff that enveloped everyone. Fuyutin Repushu no Heigashi, wind release, violent gale wind jutsu. The jutsu itself didn't possess offensive purposes, so Naruto's intention was to keep the entire group from attacking him together, allowing him to strike each one with his bow staff. Taking advantage of the enemy's disorientation, the blonde managed to land a powerful strike at one of them on the shoulder, before he heard the sound of bone cracking under pressure, followed by a huge scream of agony. As the blonde went for the second one, a hail of kunais charged at him from the left, forcing him to abandon his charge and fall into defensive position, deflecting the projectiles by effectively positioning his weapon. After the projectile attack, Naruto charged the ones who threw them, while swirling his staff behind his back. The two responsible for the projectile's offensive charged as well, but unlike Naruto, both of them were making hand seals, finishing it with the dragon hand seal, before gathering water chakra inside their bodies. Tsuten Mizutama, water release, water bullet jutsu. Out of nowhere, the two enemies shot numerous water bullets towards Naruto, who managed to dodge a few, before jumping in midair to avoid the rest. However, as he was about to attack the two with his staff, two came from behind and tried to attack him with spinning kicks aiming for the blonde's head. To the Amnin's surprise, one kick landed, but when they were about to pound Naruto further, before they realized with fear that a log was in his place. The real Naruto, now seeing the four in front of him and another three closing by from his right flank, quickly summoned two Kage Bunshin that managed to stop the ones from behind, before doing a sequence of 4 quick hand seals. He approached his hand close to his mouth in order to concentrate his next attack. Fuyutin K's Dangan, wind release, wind shot jutsu. The numerous wind shots charged the 4 missing nins in front of him with speeds unheard of, before hitting the enemies dead on. And because of wind's abilities, the bullet landed on the enemy's legs, opening a huge hole on it. The 4 were taken care of, to say the least. Just a little pressure to their leg was enough to pour a large quantity of blood followed by an unbearable pain. This allowed Naruto to charge at them and land powerful strikes on their shoulders, dislocating it and taking them, definitely, out of commission. The remaining 4 looked at the blonde with fear as he now stood in front of them with a stealing resolve. Their peers were all hit on the shoulder and were on the ground, unconscious. The ninja in front of them was on a whole other level, so they needed to use everything they have in order to beat him. Naruto was about to charge when all 4 of them started making hand seals, but what alarmed Naruto was the last hand seal used. Tiger, damn Kaiten Jutsu, Naruto thought as he quickly made a series of hand seals of his own to parry the blow, before he sensed the usage of chakra in front of him. Kaiten Kain Haoshaki, fire release, flamethrower jutsu. Much to Naruto's surprise, the 4 techniques managed to merge with one another, doubling the size of the flame beam. The blonde managed to finish the dragon hand seal just in time, before he managed to gather as much chakra as he could to strengthen his defense. Tsuten Suijin Heki, water release, water barrier jutsu. Just as the fire attack was about to reach Naruto, the water barrier rose in front of him, stopping the fire beam attack from advancing, but because of the joined efforts, Naruto's jutsu proved too weak to parry and his defense wouldn't be able to hold on much longer, forcing Naruto to jump up high and avoid the attack, before watching in morbid fascination as the attack managed to explode a huge rock behind him. The blonde was caught by surprise when he felt the temperature rise, before he turned and faced the mighty of a grand fireball technique. Being on the air prevented him from evading, so he was enveloped entirely, much to the enemy's smirk, seeing as the blonde did cause a lot of trouble for the group. However, as soon as the group turned to see their master, they were head-to-head with Naruto crossing his arms in a bored manner. Said attitude was met with question marks followed by shouts from the missing nins, since they saw the chunin being enveloped by the grand fireball technique. Naruto, for his part, smiled at the group's inability to understand what happened up there, so he set himself to explain, seeing as he was about to end this fight anyway. That attack actually did take me by surprise. I'd say congratulations are in order. I had very short time to make Kage Bunshin and replace positions with him. Now, Naruto said as he started a huge and fast series of hand seals, thus alerting the enemies. One didn't want for Naruto to finish the sequence, so he charged at the blonde, quite expecting the chunin to stop the hand seal sequence and block any eventual strike that may come after him, but to the man's surprise, Naruto's resolve never faltered as he went through hand seal after hand seal, before he focused on the bird hand sign. Fuyuta Natsugai, wind release, pressure damage jutsu. Instantly and with but a surge of both his hands, Naruto exhaled a wide camp of compressed wind towards the enemies, who for their part, couldn't escape. The compressed wind was gaining power from Naruto's chakra as it sliced and shredded everything in its path, leaving nothing standing. Trees, flowers, grass, human bodies. Still, the compressed wind field took a while to stop as it leveled the entire clearing in less than a minute. Satisfied with the results of his wind training, Naruto turned to where Kakashi and Aomaru were fighting. Surely, air pressure manipulation was the hardest theory to grasp, and surely Sujiro-sensei would be proud to see Naruto's performance. With Kakashi . Back at Kakashi's fight, both he and Aomaru reached a stalemate at the center of the village, with Kakashi holding a kunai and Aomaru a broad kodashi. Just after Naruto left, an only ninjutsu fight began, Kakashi with every trick in the book so far acquired by his Sharingan, and Aomaru, surprisingly, with only Doton ninjutsu. And while the silver-haired Junin possessed their entire arsenal of Raiten ninjutsu, Aomaru would simply dodge or evade by merging within the ground. When it was clear that they would reach a stalemate in the ninjutsu department, Aomaru attacked Kakashi with straight-out taijutsu with his kodashi for a supporting edge. Kakashi was faster with the Sharingan, but every blow he managed to land on Aomaru was like he was kicking and punching a damn rock. The Sharingan user couldn't for his life figure out what was happening, but he couldn't let himself give up. Like him, Aomaru wasn't having much luck. The Konoha Junin was 10 times faster than he would ever be, so every blow he prepared for, Kakashi would be 2 steps ahead of it, thus dodging effortlessly. Getting frustrated with the useless assault, Aomaru used brute strength and managed to throw Kakashi out of balance long enough for him to use one last jutsu that will assure his victory. Doing a 4-sequence hand seal, he, then, slammed his hands on the ground with enough force that managed to create a small hole. Doton Jishin no Jutsu, Earth Release, Earthquake Jutsu. The results were much appreciated as the ground started shaking with utmost intensity, making Kakashi lose even more balance, almost on the verge of falling on the ground. Aomaru wasn't stupid enough to waste this gold opportunity as he charged with his kodashi with the intent of slicing the famous Sharingan no Kakashi's head off. The man knew his opponent was dry of resources of defending himself, if his wide eyes were any indication. However, just before Aomaru's kodashi landed inches away from Kakashi's jugular, he heard something that made his skin crawl. Seconds later, he looked to his right to see a water dragon coming from his left side, before hitting him full force, sending the missing nin flying towards the nearest tree forest, where he ended up hitting his head, before reaching unconsciousness. Suten Suryudan no Jutsu, Water Release, Water Dragon Jutsu. Kakashi was surprised at what happened, before he turned to see his blonde student landing next to him so as to check on his sensei. "Are you okay, sensei?" Naruto asked as he extended his hand to help Kakashi get up. The silver-haired Junin took a first look at his student and saw the battle marks on his clothes and even on his skin, which meant he also had a fierce battle of his own. Smiling at his student for actually saving his life, Kakashi rushed to Aomaru's position and started focusing lightning chakra on his right hand for the killing move. By this time, Sakura and the villagers arrived, before she greeted her teammate and sensei to report the mission well done. By this time, though, Kakashi already delivered his Reikiri blow to Aomaru's heart, before sealing him to be taken into Konoha's custody. The mayor, at the end, appreciated the Konoha team for saving their village, to which Kakashi replied by saying that they were happy to be of help. Afterwards, Kakashi, Sakura and Naruto returned at a normal pace towards their home village. The mission started as B-ranked, but with Aomaru's presence, it turned to an A-ranked mission. Sakura pouted because her job didn't require much action other than swiftly killing the guard covering the cave entrance, so she ended up asking questions about her teammate and sensei's piece of the action. Unfortunately, both weren't very attentive to details, which actually infuriated her to no end. Naruto just faced 9 enemies on his own, and the only thing he told her was that he used a couple of Fuyutan jutsus, managing to overcome the enemies, but Kakashi knew better. He was the one who saw the bow staff on Naruto's hand and the fact that the blonde's stance was nothing less than Junin skills. Nevertheless, he chose to stay silent in this whole manner, seeing that he would have other opportunities to question Naruto about it in the future. After a few more hours, Konoha's impossibly penetrating walls surrounded by dense foliage. Upon arriving, there were few things Team Kakashi wanted to do, seeing as this wasn't a long-term mission or anything. They left in the morning and returned a few minutes to sundown, so besides reporting to the Hokage about the mission, there wasn't much to do. Sakura would do her hospital shift later at night and Kakashi was about to finish the last issue of Ika Ika Tactics. Speaking of the book, Kakashi thought that this one was the best one yet. The characters Nagashi and Yugito were a part of a special organization that was responsible for maintaining the security in Fire Country's capital. One time, they went in a mission together and immediately bonded to sexual levels that, according to Kakashi, contained the best sexual scene ever. Little did he know, though, that the characters Jiraiya based off were real and he happened to meet both of them. Naruto, actually was the only one of the three that happened to have plans for tonight which didn't include either reading his novel alone at home or spend the night inside some hospital. Yesterday, he didn't have time to accompany Yugao to that sushi place she was telling so much about and tonight happens to be the time when her team gets the night off to enjoy themselves. So, Naruto only had to report to the Hokage and he was ready to go home and change his clothes to, later, meet with his girlfriend. Probably, that's why he was smiling from ear to ear as the group crossed the gate, before presenting the necessary documentation to the chunin responsible for gatekeeping. At Konoha . After presenting the documents at the gate, Team Kakashi went straight to the Hokage's office where the report was handled, directly to Tsunade's ears. Normally, the Hokage didn't need an oral report presentation from its shinobis, but when missions regarding other villages' security within Fire Country's territory, it's the Hokage's responsibility to conjure a summary report and send it straight to the Fire Daimyo. The report indicated that neither of the three ninjas had any trouble dealing with the enemies, except from Kakashi's momentary lack of concentration which led to Aomaru almost killing the silver-haired Junin if it weren't for Naruto's prompt response with a high-level Suiten Jutsu. Tsunade was skeptical about Naruto's part of the mission, seeing as he just faced 9 missing nins without breaking a sweat. She was more than curious with the blonde's real capabilities and she hoped that this mission would force him to show said skills to the public. But, since no one, from the team, was present to witness his fight, she was forced to take his word for it, much to her frustration. She knew something was wrong and both he and Jiraiya were hiding something, but the question was why. Sure. A ninja's profession is deception and hiding their skills is the difference between killing and be killed. Nevertheless, as Hokage, she should be aware of her ninja's abilities, for assignment issues. Tsunade sighed in resignation as she couldn't do anything right now, so she dismissed the team with the order of presenting tomorrow for another mission, before everyone, but Sakura, vanished from the office. The girl was to head towards the hospital and Shizune would accompany her there. With Naruto . With hands on pocket, Naruto was walking aimlessly throughout the streets of Konoha. Looking at the time, he supposed he had a few more hours before he had to leave home to meet with Yugao at the sushi place. Suddenly, he spotted 2 familiar faces coming his direction, so he decided a greeting was in order. However, both friendly faces took a while to recognize the blonde, much to his snort, seeing as he didn't change much. Or did he? Damn it Shikamaru, it's me Naruto, Naruto shouted at both Shikamaru and Temari, while the former kept looking at the blonde with a questioned gaze. Oh Naruto, I didn't recognize you there. When did you return from your trip? Temari, for her part, looked at the blonde in front of them and wondering if this was the same blonde shrimp that wanted to take on everybody and the same one who managed to save her brother from himself. Just yesterday, my team and I already had a mission today, a ranked. Huh. Not that is any of my business and all, but why are you together? This isn't a date, right? Shikamaru is too lazy for that. The pineapple-headed chunin snorted at the commentary, but Temari bit him to it with the explanation. A date? No. Hell no. Once again, Shikamaru snorted at how much troublesome blondes he knows, before she continued. Quote. Since the agreement with Suna and Konoha was signed, I was nominated ambassador from my village. Also, both villages assigned me and this lazy ass over here to organize the chunin exams. What reminds me, Naruto, said Shikamaru, calling the blonde's attention. Aren't you going to compete this time? If I remember correctly, you're the only one from our age that is still a genin. Even Neji is now a Junin. I was. But the Hokage decided to test my skills against Kakashi-sensei, and if I passed, then she would promote me. Me and Sakura managed to defeat him, so Hokage-sama promoted me last night, Naruto said, earning a nod from Shikamaru, before the blonde turned to Temari. Say Temari, how is Gaara? I imagine him to be at least a Junin as well if his skills, 3 years ago, was any indication. Actually, Naruto. Gaara was promoted to chunin on that exam 3 years ago, and just last year, he was nominated the Godime Kazekage. He and Tsunade-sama has been making plans for a while, and the village relations improved tenfold. That information shocked Naruto, but in a positive sense. He confessed that he wasn't exactly friends with Gaara, but seeing as they share a common feat, Naruto considered him close to family. Shikamaru and Temari considered how Naruto always wanted to become Hokage, and, maybe, he was taking this information badly, but it all faded when the blonde smiled. Well, good for him. It's good to see one of us getting the recognition he deserves. Now, guys, I have to go home, so I'll see you later, see ya. The blonde didn't want for a reply as he continued on his path towards his house, while thinking about how Gaara was now the Godime Kazekage and how much stronger he must have gotten now. Shikamaru and Temari, though, kept looking at his back with a frown, because both spotted several differences between the old and the new Naruto. The lazy, though, shrugged his shoulders and began walking towards wherever he was going, before Temari followed him as well, muttering about lazy-ass shinobi and the lack of motivation. At Naruto's house . Once arriving at his building, the blonde proceeded to climb the stairs towards his apartment for some relaxing, before he had to take a shower. The thoughts on the next Kazekage now vanished from his mind, and he was just wondering what he would do for relaxing. Throughout his training trip, he enjoyed reading ninjutsu material. It calmed him down, somewhat, even if he was indirectly training. Upon arriving on his floor, he looked up to see his sensei seating close to ledge while reading the book Ero-sensei wrote. Naruto somehow knew what Kakashi wanted with him, although he actually preferred that his sensei would focus on reading that book of his and leave him alone tonight. The sun was almost vanishing by now, and the moonlight was already illuminating the village with all its majesty. Nevertheless, instead of enjoying the sight, Naruto was soon to be trapped in an interrogation about his skills with Bojutsu. I suppose you want answers, Kakashi-sensei. The sensei managed to show a smile despite his blue mask, before returning to his stoic demeanor as he closed his book and got off from the ledge. Staring in front of Naruto, he placed his hands inside his pockets and gazed the blonde's demeanor. He was slightly surprised to see boredom written on his face, but he pressed the subject. As your sensei, Naruto, it's my obligation to know about my students' abilities. Normally, I would take you for a beginner at the art of Bojutsu, since clearly you never touched the weapon until you left with Jiraiya-sama. However, that stance alone showed Junin-level skills. The only question that I'll ask is why? Why hide it from us, your peers? Naruto only smiled, though, as he explained to his sensei. He was already thinking of something he could use to turn the table around, but he will only use it in the end. We shinobi take pride from deception, Kakashi-sensei. By showing everything I can do in one fight, the enemy will use the information against me and act accordingly. Plus, I already showed enough skills for you to work on, sensei, taijutsu, wind and water ninjutsu, weapon accuracy. The rest is for me to depend on, in case the enemy knows about it. I understand your reasons regarding your enemies, Naruto, but I have yet to hear about why you felt it was better hiding it from both me and Sakura. I know you changed a lot during your training, and yes, you have good teamwork skills, but learn how to trust others, it's a vital skill to possess. Kakashi felt like he was lecturing the blonde, but little did he know that Naruto actually wanted him to go down that road for him to explore what Kakashi said and turn it against him. What about you, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto asked, surprising the sensei, at the level of defiance never seen before. You have the world's most powerful dojutsu, the Sharingan. You are known throughout the elemental nations as the man who managed to copy more than 1,000 techniques, and yet, you use no more than 5 or 10 jutsus with us around. You managed to parry Zanbatsu with nothing but a kunai. Nobody I know keeps as much secrets as you do, and yet here you are lecturing me about trusting my teammates. You have to agree with me about the oddity behind this situation. Kakashi's single eye widening in surprise was enough proof to the blonde that his sensei didn't expect any sort of such retaliation coming from Naruto. Nevertheless, the slap was delivered and Kakashi suddenly didn't feel so good. Naruto's tone remained neutral, though his words echoed inside his brain. The blonde, for his part, saw the sudden change in behavior and questioned whether or not he hit a tight spot and ended up meddling in his sensei's personal life. However, why Kakashi wants the blonde to trust others, if he does the same thing? Sensei, Naruto said, calling the man's attention. You don't have to worry about me hiding my skills from my friends. Like yours, my hidden skills may allows me to save them, and that's what I aim most of all. If I said anything that hurt you, I'm sorry, it was never my intention. Everyone has secrets and it's up for each one to trust someone into sharing, you can't just force that trust. Now, I'm sorry sensei, but I'm late. I have to meet someone in an hour, so I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Yeah Naruto, see you tomorrow. Kakashi didn't wait for Naruto to reply, before he vanished within a swirl of leaves, in order to pay a visit to his fallen comrades. The blonde's words hurt deeply. But the problem was that everything Naruto was said was nothing further from the truth. How could he expect his students to trust him if he didn't trust them with his life and skills? Kakashi knew about their students' lives, but his students didn't know a thing about how it was for Hatake Kakashi to grow up during wartime under the reign of the Yondaime Hokage. Without anything left to do for the day, Kakashi just stared at the stone that contained the name of those that he considered family throughout his life. Rin, Uchiha Obito, Namikaze Minato. With Kakashi, these three were a part of the same team and, together they were a wreck. Just like Team 7, he was like Sasuke, a stuck-up genius who considered the shinobi's rules of conduct the manual of his life. Next Uchiha Obito, the clown of the team, like Naruto, well like Naruto was 3 years ago, a proud knucklehead with a heart of gold, and last but not least, Rin who, like Sakura, did nothing but fawn for Kakashi like Sakura did for Sasuke 3 years ago. While back then, his team lacked teamwork, his sensei Namikaze Minato, the Yondaime Hokage, managed to correct their flaws. When the silver-haired Junin picked up a team, he considered that teamwork would be the answer to everything. But today only served to prove that he actually didn't believe in said word. Smiling in realization, Kakashi found that he was looking directly at his sensei's name, as if he was staring face to face with the Yondaime Hokage, crossing his arms and showing that warm smile on his face. Kakashi offered silent words in approval of Minato's son and how much alike Naruto was from the Yondaime. I wonder if he will surpass the Yondaime, thought Kakashi as he gave his back to the memorial stone, before going home to rest. Next day The next day, Naruto rubbed his eyes in order to cover the first rays of sunlight that managed to invade his room. Throughout his trip, the blonde got used to waking up with the sunlight, so he never bothered closing the drapes of his window. Looking to his right, Naruto smiled as Yugao's prone figure slept peacefully with a smile on her face. Instantly, memories flooded his brain as he remembered what happened yesterday on the date. They went to the sushi restaurant, Yugao's favorite, where they enjoyed themselves as a couple while eating some sushi and drinking some sake. Even though both chose to remain their relationship a secret, the restaurant was far away from the village's commercial district, so hardly anyone would eat there, save for Yugao and a few civilians. Naruto explained about his team's mission as well as Kakashi's curiosity of his skills with the bow staff, even up to the point of saying that Naruto should trust his peers with this information. He remembered Yugao snorting at her senpai for doing something like this, before she grinned when Naruto explained how he turned the tables on Kakashi. The night was a blast so far, and it was even better when Naruto took Yugao for a walk throughout the village's outskirts, before the couple went to Naruto's apartment to end the night with style. Said style was the reason why Naruto's face was red like a tomato after what he and Yugao did yesterday. Looking at the clock, he saw that he had 1 hour and a half to present at the Hokage for another mission with his team. Not wanting to wake Yugao up, he stripped his boxes and took a quick shower. By the time he walked out of the bathroom, he saw that Yugao was already up and in the kitchen, fixing some breakfast for them. Morning Yugao-chan. Had a nice sleep. The woman smiled at Naruto's presence, before nodding at his question, even though she heard Naruto's neighbor shouting to the heavens that he was the epitome of youthfulness and silently wondered how Naruto could stand it. Yeah, although that guy woke me up an hour ago with that blatant scream of his. How can you stand it every day is beyond me, Yugao said, before the blonde smirked. That's nothing, you should hear when Lee shows up as well. Imagine a duet of the epitome of youthfulness reverberating on your walls at 5 in the morning. Yugao flinched, before serving breakfast at the table. Surely, one was loud enough and she didn't want to hear two of them screaming at such an early hour. Breakfast was eaten quietly as they simply enjoyed each other company. Half an hour later, the couple was now fully dressed for battle, Yugao with her Anbu attire and Naruto with his. Once leaving the apartment, each went to different directions as Naruto headed for the Hokage's office and Yugao for the Anbu HQ. At the Hokage's tower . On top of the Hokage's tower, was located the many hawks that were responsible for the communication between villages. Inside the room, were two chunin seated near a table with cards on their hands as this happens to be quite a tedious job to have. Suddenly, though, a special hawk from Suna landed and that meant something important to the chunin, since one of them lifted from the chair out of a sudden, dropping it on the ground as he saw the message. The special breed of hawk, they knew, were chosen for urgent message, so when one of them appeared, Konoha needed to know right away. Reading the message, the man gasped at the importance before he ran towards the Hokage's office, before barging in as expected when carrying important information. Inside he saw a team of shinobi and the famous Hokage Kakashi listening to a mission debriefing by the Hokage. However, seeing the necessity to interrupt, the chunin did so without fear of repercussions. Hokage-sama, an important message from Suna arrived. The Kazekage was kidnapped by the Akatsuki and they request immediate assistance. The news shocked everyone including Tsunade for a while, before Hokage mode entered once more. Tatsuki, search for Sabaku no Temari in the village and call for her right now, she's probably with Nara Shikamaru right now. Team 7 will be given a new mission, S-ranked. You are to go to Sunagakure immediately and assist them in Gaara's retrieval. The order was complied right away by the team as the chunin left in order to alert Temari. Meanwhile, Naruto was shocked. Gaara being captured, but how? How strong can the Akatsuki be? That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.